Feeling too much is not your weakness, it is your biggest weapon, but only if you stop running from it. Most people never reach that point because the moment they feel something uncomfortable, they distract themselves. They pick up their phone, scroll endlessly, fill their mind with noise, anything just to avoid sitting alone with their own thoughts. But the truth is simple and harsh at the same time. Avoidance does not remove pain, it only stores it. And when it comes back, it hits harder, stronger, and deeper than before. So the real question is not why this hurts so much. The real question is why you are still running from it. Because the only way out is through. The discomfort you are trying to escape right now, the pressure, the emotions, the thoughts you keep ignoring, that is exactly where your growth is hidden. But it only works if you face it directly instead of avoiding it. There is also another lie that holds people back. Many believe that being a good person means being soft, harmless, and non-threatening. But that is not goodness. That is weakness. If you are incapable of causing harm, then your kindness has no real value because it is not a choice, it is a limitation. There is a clear difference between someone who chooses peace and someone who has no ability to fight. A truly strong person is not harmless. They are dangerous but disciplined. They have the strength to cause damage, but they choose control instead. That is what makes character real. Because if you are weak, you will not stay good under pressure. You will break, you will avoid responsibility, and over time, that weakness will turn into frustration, then bitterness, and eventually anger. And when that happens, the same person who once seemed harmless becomes dangerous, but without control. That is the worst version of a human being. So, understand this clearly. The world does not need weak people pretending to be good. It needs strong individuals who can handle pressure, carry responsibility, and still choose discipline. That is where real strength begins. Now, face something uncomfortable. Most people are afraid to take risks, and fear itself is not the problem, it is natural. The real problem is staying stuck in a life that makes you unhappy just because it feels safe. You convince yourself that at least your situation is stable, at least your routine is predictable, but deep down, you already know you are not satisfied. You are not living fully. You are just existing in comfort. And comfort can be more dangerous than failure, because failure teaches you something, while comfort slowly destroys you without you even realizing it. If you are unhappy today and you change nothing, then 5 years from now, you will not just be unhappy, you will be older, more tired, and full of regret. That is the real danger, not failure, but stagnation. The biggest issue most people ignore is how much time they waste every single day. If you are honest with yourself, you already know the answer. Hours spent scrolling, delaying, avoiding effort, escaping discomfort. 5 hours, 6 hours, sometimes even more. That is not just time passing, that is your life disappearing piece by piece. When you calculate it, it becomes even more serious. 6 hours a day turns into more than 40 hours a week, which is basically a full-time job of doing nothing meaningful. Now imagine if you used that same time to build something, to learn a skill, to improve your life. The difference would be massive. But instead, every night, you feel that quiet regret, that small voice in your head reminding you that you could have done more. And instead of facing that truth, you distract yourself again the next day because it feels easier. But reality does not change just because you avoid it. You are already paying the price. Staying where you are is not safe, it is slow damage. So the choice is simple: face discomfort now and grow, or avoid it and suffer later. Because if nothing changes, nothing improves, and time will continue moving forward no matter what you do. Most people misunderstand suffering. They believe that the opposite of suffering is comfort, but that is only partially true. Comfort can reduce pain for a short time, but it cannot give your life meaning. And without meaning, even a comfortable life starts to feel empty and directionless. The real solution to suffering is purpose. something that gives your struggle a reason, something that keeps you moving forward even when things become difficult. Because life is not designed to be easy. It is unpredictable, sometimes unfair, and often challenging. And if you do not have something meaningful to hold on to, that pressure will eventually break you. At first, it creates frustration. Then it turns into bitterness and eventually resentment. And once that happens, you do not just suffer. You become someone who spreads negativity instead of strength. That is why responsibility matters so much. It starts with you. Fix your habits, build discipline, and take control of your actions. That is the foundation. Once you become stronger, you expand that responsibility to other areas of your life, your family, your future, your environment. That is where real meaning is created, not through comfort, but through growth and effort. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you improve. Every time you push yourself when it is difficult, you become stronger. Slowly, you move from being lost to becoming focused, from being weak to becoming capable. Then, your perspective begins to change. You stop blaming your past and start understanding it. You realize that your struggles were not just pain, they were preparation. They shaped you, they built your mindset, and they made you more resilient. That pain you once tried to avoid becomes something you respect, because without it, you would not have grown into who you are becoming. Now, understand this clearly: life is not fair. There will be moments where things go wrong without any clear reason. You can do everything right and still lose. And in those moments, you are left with a decision. You can become bitter, or you can become stronger. There is no neutral option. If you choose bitterness, you do not just suffer from what happened, you create something worse inside yourself. Anger and resentment begin to grow, and over time they take control of your mindset. This is how people destroy themselves, not because of what happened to them, but because of how they responded to it. But if you choose strength, everything changes. Strength does not mean ignoring pain. It means facing it without letting it control you. It means taking responsibility even when it feels unfair. Because the moment you stop taking responsibility, you lose control over your life. Weakness is where everything begins to fall apart. When you avoid effort, when you lie to yourself, and when you refuse to grow, you slowly become someone who cannot handle pressure. And when life becomes difficult, you collapse. That is why strength is not optional, it is necessary. You need to become disciplined, capable, and in control of your actions. Not aggressive, not reckless, but stable and focused. Because real power is not about controlling others, it is about mastering yourself. There is one more truth most people ignore. Happiness is not guaranteed. It is a luxury. But meaning is a responsibility. If your life feels empty, it is not random. It is a sign that you are avoiding something important. So start now. Improve your skills, build discipline, and create a clear direction for your life. Move step by step, even if progress feels slow. It will take time, but it will be worth it. Because in the end, there is only one question that matters. Did you use your potential, or did you waste it? Life is hard, but you can become stronger. And when you do, you will not just survive, you will rise above it.